The 14th Waffen Grenadier Division of the SS, 1st Galician, was made up predominantly of volunteers with a Ukrainian ethnic background from the area of Galicia, later also with some Slovaks. Formed in 1943, it was mainly deployed in the Eastern Front of World War II in combat against the Red Army and in the repression of Soviet, Polish, and Yugoslav guerrilla partisans. Parts of the division were said to have taken part in several massacres, such as at Huta Pieniaka, Pitkamen, and Palikrowi. It was largely destroyed in the Lvov-Sandomierz offensive, reformed, and saw action in Slovakia, Yugoslavia, and Austria before being transferred to the command of the Ukrainian National Committee on 14 April 1945. The idea of recruiting Ukrainians into the Waffen SS was first proposed by Gottlob Berger, the head of the SS main office, as early as April 1941. His request was rejected by Reichsführer SS Heinrich Himmler because of racial reasons. It was not brought up again until 1942 by Otto Wächter, who had been appointed as the second German governor of Galicia in August 1941. Wächter sympathized with the Ukrainian population, many of whom initially saw the Germans as liberators after the previous years of Soviet oppression, and believed that Germany could work with them against the Soviets. Wächter's governance of Galicia, which was part of the general government, occupied Poland, was more lenient than Erich Koch, who led the rest of Ukrainian territory as the head of Reichskommissariat Ukraine. As a former part of the Austrian Empire, Galicia was governed separately from the rest of Ukraine, and was also the only region where Ukrainians were allowed to participate in its administration in a significant way. Wächter wanted to make the region an example for changing German policy toward Ukraine. In early 1943, Wächter discussed the matter of a Ukrainian SS division with Himmler and received Himmler's approval for the basic idea on 28 March 1943. In early May 1943, the recruitment process slowly began. Rallies were held across cities and towns in Galicia for 2 months, and by mid-1943, as the division received support from retired Ukrainian officers and the UPA, recruitment picked up. After the first 3 months of the recruitment drive, there were 80,000 volunteers for the SS Division Galicia, of whom 53,000 were admitted. About 25,000 were deemed fit for service, and 13,245 passed the medical examination. They were sent to training. 487 were dropped during the training period, leaving the division with 11,758 personnel. Those volunteers were mostly between the ages of 18 and 30, many from a middle-class professional background or from farming families. Most of the soldiers in the division were Ukrainian Greek Catholics, with the exception of a small number of Ukrainian Orthodox. The archpriest Vasil Laba, a close associate of Greek Catholic Metropolitan Andrei Sheptitsky, became the head chaplain of the division, and it initially had a total of 12 chaplains. The recruits began leaving for training on 18 July 1943, and they were seen off by a rally of over 50,000 people in Lviv. Around this time, the division received its first commanding officer, SS Brigadeführer and Major General of Waffen SS Walter Szymana, who was more of an administrator than a military commander. In the final phase of its training and assembling, the division was sent to the Neuhammer training camp in Lower Silesia in April 1944. The Kampfgruppe Bayersdorf detachment rejoined the rest of the division in Neuhammer shortly after. At this time, the division reportedly had 12,901 members. At the new location, the division was joined by Ukrainian officers and NCOs who had completed their training elsewhere, along with new recruits from Galicia, and completed its assembling. In mid-May 1944, Heinrich Himmler visited Neuhammer to inspect the division. During that time, he gave a speech to the Galicia division's officers in which he acknowledged them as Ukrainian, as opposed to Galician, saying that he should have designated the division Ukrainian from the beginning, and that the German and Ukrainian members must be treated as equals. After his inspection, Himmler informed the commander of Army Group North Ukraine that the Galicia division was ready to be sent into battle. In mid-June, they were also visited by the leaders of the Ukrainian Central Committee. Towards the end of the month, it was decided that the division would be deployed to the area of western Ukraine being held by the 4th Panzer Army. On 27 June 1944, it was renamed the 14th Waffen Grenadier Division of the SS, 1st Galician. They departed from Neuhammer towards western Ukraine on the following day, 28 June 1944.